Welcome to This Week in Crowder College, an in-depth look into how Crowder College students, faculty, and staff are working together so students soar to new heights, communities are impacted, and lives are changed. This Week in Crowder College is sponsored by the law offices of Wood and Peterson in Neosho, specializing in workers' compensation, personal injury, Social Security disability, and more. Learn more online at neoshoattorney.com. Now here's this week's edition of This Week in Crowder College.
Welcome to a brand new week of This Week in Crowder College right here on 91.7 FM. Adam Winkler here with you, joined by the head baseball coach at Crowder College, head coach Travis Lallemand. And Coach, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, our favorite time of the year, baseball season, is almost upon us. And as you look at this 2024 team and as you guys get set to open up play, take us back to the fall semester and some of the work you guys got in during the offseason there.
Well, we had so many new faces that our goal this fall, was to play as much as possible. So inter squads and we did play some outside competition and, got to play a few 4-year schools, which is something we wanted to do as well. Just play older groups that, do the little things a little bit better than younger guys typically. And, we played the equivalent, when we went back and calculated it up, the equivalent of 48 games this fall. So we got that done. Whether or not we, can evaluate that as good, right, wrong, and different, we'll see. But we got to play quite a bit. Got to see a lot of at-bats out of guys, and a lot of innings on the mound. So, we feel like we got done what we needed to get done for this fall, and again, kind of the evaluation phase of it is now is, hey, did that work? What do we like about it? What do we not? And see. And, now we're kind of just fine-tuning some things, getting ready for opening day on February 1st. But, I like what we have. I think we're supremely talented offensively. And, I thought maybe we were an arm short at the break. So we went out and tried to get some guys. But we brought in a couple transfers. But now we're getting some guys back healthy that we didn't anticipate. So I don't believe that we're necessarily that arm short anymore as far as my evaluation goes right now.
Well, with that revolving door on the junior college level, you're used to it, and guys come in, guys go out. I mean, that's just the way it is with a 2-year program. And tell us about some of the returners you have coming back from last year's team that you're going to try and lean upon, and maybe some of the young guys that you're excited about who've come into the program.
I think it starts probably on the offensive side with, the Colton Reynolds, first-team All-American, is a right fielder last year. Hit 400 with, 20 home runs, 19 home runs, big power threat, fear bat at the top of the lineup. And then, Joey Morton, probably going to sit right there in the middle lineup. I think our middle of the lineup, is going to be probably as dangerous as it's ever been. Morton's a big left first baseman, had 15 home runs last year. So, big time power. He broke the RBI record here as well, last year. And 2 formidable threats right there in the middle. A lot of newcomers. Obviously, Easton Swafford's back. Had a down year last year. Struggled a little bit early and never came out of it, but had a great fall. He transferred in from Arkansas last spring. He'll be in the middle. Ashton Graff-Rowe, another guy that was a Ontario kid that came in, an elite runner, 6'4" runner. He's really, really smooth defensively in the middle. Another returner on the corner, Cole Kitchens, who hit in the 3 for us last year. So again, a lot of those really key pieces back. Ethan Fender had a great year until he got injured last year. So again, a lot of faces that were around here that, had some injuries and things like that got them, besides really the 3 with Kitchens, Morton, and Reynolds. And then you move to the mound, it's kind of anchored by Branson. He won 11 games, was an All-American last year. But, guys that got hot late, Aaron Arnold, Landon Grigg, Austin Jobe, are all guys back. So, again, there might be some new names that maybe people don't recognize as much. It seemed like we were stuck on the road. We played a lot of home games, but it seemed like we were stuck on the road late when the weather got nice. So a lot of people maybe didn't get to see these guys. But, as far as the freshman class goes, on the mound, there's going to be some key pieces, but I think it's going to be anchored by the returners, especially in the rotation and the back end of the bullpen with Carson Richard and Nick Moten, a transfer from Arkansas that has a big time arm in there as well. So we're definitely not lack of talent, going into it. Maybe some experience, that they didn't have necessarily. But, last year we went into the year with 450 at-bats returning and 70 innings was it. And we have quite a bit more than that coming back this year. And I think that's always a tale of the tape with, how it's going to go real early.
Well, every year each team has to find their own identity. And what have you seen from this team so far? What kind of identity are they forming that fans can see on the field this year?
Well, the one thing that sticks out with this group after seeing them all fall is this is probably the best defensive group we've ever had. They take pride in that. They take pride in the little things. I feel like we haven't necessarily hit that identity. We had several guys that we had a large group. So some guys transferred out for a better opportunity, to move on to another school. So it was kind of a mix, we hung on to a lot of those guys throughout the fall, and then it never really got a chance for us to really kind of mold together. And I think now what we're starting to see, even in this first 3-4 days of practice, what we're starting to see is this kind of a group that, they're focused on the little things pretty well right now, and very responsive. So, we'll see. I mean, our early February schedule is a nightmare. Mm-hmm. So really the whole February schedule. So we're going to be challenged early, and that's what I told him. I said, if you put this on wins and losses early, we might be in trouble. Because, again, we're playing, Johnson County, Iowa Western, and Seminole all back-to-back-to-back, so there's not a whole lot of breaks in that schedule when we start hitting the doubleheaders. We just have to make sure that we can go on to the next opportunity, win or lose, because it's going to be tough. We're going to be challenged each day out. So I hope they keep the mindset that they have right now. And like I said, they're pretty locked in on the small things right now.
Well, Coach, I know as focused as you are with your kids on the field, you also really stress the importance in the classroom. And you guys just came off a fall semester with your best GPA ever. So let us know about how proud you are of the guys for the job they did in the classroom in the fall semester. Yeah,
100%. That was the best GPA we've had as a team since I've been here, 3.56, and that's kind of the new thing here, is like, hey, if we're going to be good at something, let's be good at everything and take pride in the classroom, take pride in this, and that, and they did. I mean, we don't allow them to miss class, and it used to be, some guys, we call it the, too cool for school attitude isn't for here. We want guys to be in that mold, and really it helps them moving on. So, there is an underlying reasoning behind it, not just for their personal development and moving on, but also when they do transfer out, the transfer scholarships start at the 3.0s, then it goes up at 3.2. And if you're above a 3.5, you get into Phi Theta Kappa, and a lot of these schools have, the Phi Theta Kappa transfer scholarship, which, sometimes is $11,000, $12,000. Mm-hmm. So, that helps guys not limit themselves to where they can move on to. And obviously we've had a lot of success in moving guys on. So, it definitely helps. And we've kind of sold it that way. And, a lot of these kids, almost half our roster was above 3.5, most of there was 18 4.0s, so I'm proud of them for that. And, it's going to help them in the long run. And it's going to help me moving them on to make sure that, we're getting a better financial situation for them as well.
Well, and finally, Coach, we know the season is a marathon, yet it's a sprint. And just from the big picture point of view, I know the goal is always to get to Grand Junction, to compete for a World Series championship. So you're sitting here today, what are one or two keys that you say, if the Rough Riders do this, we're going to put ourselves in a good position to possibly compete to get to Grand Junction?
I think we're going to have to be really good in the middle innings on the mound. We're going to have to find some guys that want to pitch in those roles. That's what we had last year with Barnhouse, Hackman, and then, in 22, Mizorowski gets a lot of credit, but we wouldn't have been where we were at without Jake Wilson coming in after him to bridge that gap. So I think every year, we recruit, obviously we have talent, because my coaching staff works on the recruiting side, all that. I think we've got the starting pitching that we need. I think it goes down to obvious as, hey, we got to throw strikes, we got to do this, whatever. But really what it comes down to for me, I like our back end of our bullpen, to go shut down games, when we need that. But we need someone to really step up in those middle inning roles, because we play so many 9-inning games, those middle 9 outs, we call it a 9-out guy. We're going to need somebody to really, really lock down that, just like Barnhouse did, Hackman did, Wilson did. It's one of those thankless jobs, and it's hard for kids nowadays because everyone wants to be the star, and that's okay. But we wouldn't have been in those places the last couple of years without that key piece in the middle of the bullpen. So I think every year we go in and we have to identify essentially 8 to 10 arms that are going to, be those postseason guys, and where they're going to pitch at, and have somebody really lock down that role and be an accountable person in that role, because I think we're good enough offensively. I think we can, essentially bludgeon people to death offensively just because we're good in 2 strikes and we have power. It's a good combination. As I mentioned, this fall was our best defensive fall. So I think, those pieces, you're starting to kind of check those boxes. I think the big thing is who's going to pitch those middle innings to keep us where we're at.
Well, Coach, it's the best time of year. Baseball season is here. We're looking forward to another great year for the Rough Riders. Thank you for your time on This Week in Crowder College.
I appreciate it, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to This Week in Crowder College. This Week in Crowder College is sponsored by the law offices of Wood and Peterson in Neosho. You can listen to this broadcast again by going online to kneo.org or to crowder.edu. Tune in once again next week for another edition of This Week in Crowder College on KNEO 91.7 FM.
If you live within the broadcast area of KNEO Radio, we have a podcast just for you. The KNEO Community Connection keeps your finger on the pulse of what's coming up in the 4-state area, telling you about upcoming events you don't want to miss, organizations in our communities doing great work, and conversations with the dynamic citizens who are behind it all. There's a lot going on around you that you don't want to miss. This is Luke Taylor. Join me each week as we talk about what's happening with the people who are making it happen. Brought to you by KNEO Radio 91.7 FM and the Sky High Podcast Network. Subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts.